guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. Continuing to work on the Cub Cadet Mini-Dozer. If you were with us last week, we took the Mini-Dozer out, ran it up and down the driveway a little bit, even took it over in the woods and pushed a pile of dirt over. Discovered a couple things, made some changes to the blade, hydraulics, just minor edits. I put a set of quick disconnects on so that I can pull the pins and drop the blade, and this is the only section of hose that goes to the blade itself. The rest of them stay with the tractor, so that allowed me to take the blade off easily. And we talked at the end of last episode about the tracks slipping in the soil, a little bit on the driveway too, but mostly on the soil. So we talked about adding grousers, and we're going to look at doing that this episode. I've ordered a pole cable from McMaster that I'd like to try to install as the clutch, the starting clutch. It's really a belt tensioner. It tensions the pair of V-belts that run from the engine down to the drive shaft, and maybe set that up so we can do that from the driver's seat. So I'd like to play around with that. And one other thing that I'm thinking about is and several people have mentioned this, and I'm acutely aware of this situation, and that is that the drive and idler, the drive sprockets and the idler wheels that are attached to the axles are spaced out from the axle hubs several inches. And while there is the tractor weight is not on those axles, because all of the tractor weight is taken by the bogies. So as you can see, this wheel is actually, this is the drive sprocket here, it's actually off the ground. And the same with the idler at the back. And it's really done for two reasons, but the primary reason was ground clearance. I don't have much ground clearance under the bottom of the tractor, so I needed to raise the tractor up a little bit, and the only way to do that is larger diameter wheels, which would be out of scale then. So what I decided to do was just let the tractor ride on the bogies, push them down a couple inches, give me a couple more inches of ground clearance, and what it did, it lifted those wheels off the ground. Well, the second thing that does is it also takes stress off those axles. The only stress on them is from the track. Now, when you're pushing and you're applying all of the pressure of the tracks on, you do stress those axles more than just the inherent tension in the track, because there's stresses on the track from driving. I don't know whether over time those axles, which are 1-inch diameter spindles that come out of the bearings on the axle housings, will fatigue over time and break. I mean, that's the risk. They're pretty robust. I mean, they were designed for a tractor application, which the tractor weighs 1,000 pounds, which is half of what this machine probably weighs. So the weight on them is probably stresses on is probably comparable to what they would be on a original Cub Cadet tractor. But I'm thinking about a way to reinforce the outboard ends of those axles. So I've got an idea. I don't know if it's gonna work or if I can make it work, but the idea is to create a hub with a stub shaft and bolt it to these wheels with these lug nuts. In other words, undo these lug nuts, bolt on another plate, which would have a shaft coming out of it, and then attach members to this box beam and have it come out and with a bearing capture that shaft and support the end of this housing, end of this drive sprocket on a bearing which is bolted to the track frame. And if I do that on all four wheels, that would potentially provide outboard support for all those axles. So I'm going to play around with that this episode, try to make up a potential hub stub shaft arrangement for one of these, put it on, perhaps measure it for run out, see what it looks like, see if it might work. Got a couple things to work on. Let's go cut out a disc on the plasma table so that we can mock up the first stub hub. We'll call it the stub hub. The outboard axle support. See what that looks like. All right, I'm prepping to put some quick disconnects on the blade angle cylinder so that I can remove the whole blade assembly from the tractor should I need to do that. So these components have pipe thread, and this is hydraulic connection, thread sealer. Alright, so this gives me the ability to unplug the blade angle, and everything else can be disconnected. Then pull the pins and I can take the blade off the tractor. All right. All right, I think that takes care of that. And we've got the decals. Oh, there's one more. This logo. All right, I think that's the last decal. I could put two, my thought was two on each track pad, but what I might do is do one on each to start with and see how that works. Yeah, I think the size of them is fine. I was afraid that they were going to look too large. I have enough square stock to do two per pad with some left over, so I think that's the plan. Let's fabricate a jig to hold them in alignment, just an eighth of an inch or so off the front edge, and I've got them a quarter inch off of each end. So we'll have to work on. So I'll probably make up a little jig that will hold them in the right arrangement to tack weld them, and then take the jig off and finish welding them. Okay. So I'm drilling out the bolt circle to fit the dozer's wheels, but I'm doing the 5/8 inch holes now, and I'm using a new countersink. It actually has a carbide insert, and it seems to work really well. I'm pleased with it. I've had issues with some other high-speed steel countersinks not really working very well, and maybe they weren't the highest quality, but this one seems to be working quite well, so I'm pleased with that. To cut out this bolt circle, I'm using the DRO, the digital readout, to locate the 5 locations for the holes. Going to the next hole will be over here. So this is just a spare piece of, I mean, it's actually a sleeve, but it's 1-inch diameter. My thought is if I weld a shaft a couple inches long in here, and then have a member come across here with a bearing to hold the shaft, and it would provide support for additional support for the wheel. And do that on all four wheels. I don't know that it's necessary, but and I don't know that I'm actually going to do it. Just kind of looking at the feasibility of it right now. The only way to know if it will work is if I jack up this track and run it and measure the run out, see if I can tap this shaft into a position where there's no run out or very little run out, not more than a couple thousandths. Since I've got the plasma table still set up from the other day when I cut the first stub hub disc, I'm going to go ahead and cut the other 3 out. So I've got it all set up, might as well go ahead and do that. I don't expect to do a whole lot of work on these stub hubs in this episode. Maybe I might get to measure the run out on one of them if I can jack up one side of the tractor, though my focus here really, I think in this episode, is to get some grousers on the tractor. So I already have it set up, so we'll go ahead and cut them out.
Alright, I think I've got about half of the grousers cut. It's probably enough for one. It's probably enough for one per track pad here. Come back and cut the others later.
Alright, as you can see, I have quite a bit of welding left to do on the track, and this is just the first track. I've decided to go ahead and put 2 bars on each pad, so I'm going to do most of this offline. I think you've seen plenty of it, and hopefully by the time we come back next episode, I'll be finished with all the grousers, and we'll take the tractor out and see how they improve its traction. All right, appreciate everybody watching. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't, so you don't miss upcoming episodes, and we'll see you all next time.